Starfield is our first new universe in over 25 years, but it's still a Bethesda RPG through and through, where you step into a new world and you get that feeling of unlimited possibilities. But this time, it's not just one world.
It's over 1,000.
Because the choice of where to go is not ours. It's yours.
Wow, really?
This statement is an issue because in a game where exploration is the most important factor, it's also the most limiting. This sweet charismatic man can sell you absolutely anything. This is Starfield, Todd's magnum opus, a lovely 8 years of development time, a brand new universe, more bugs, a lot more marketing, and a bland yet okay experience. And while I do love Bethesda's games, in my opinion, this one just ain't it. Before I start, I want to take some time to laugh a little bit at the team sports level discourse around this game. It's on Twitter, of course, so I'm sure your expectations are very high. One of the main copy-pasted criticisms around this game is you'll see gamers tweeting out pictures of them getting refunds from the early access, followed by boilerplate statements such as, "This game awful," "Ew, stinky," "Xbox," "L," "Joy, joy, joy," clown emoji. On the other side, we have Xbox superfans literally sprinting their way to Microsoft to gobble their balls. You know, the trillion-dollar company, I'm pretty sure, that doesn't care that they exist. I never realized how chronically online a lot of people are, that a game that's perfectly okay makes them this defensive or this angry. I lean a bit more on the negative side, but I don't think Starfield is a bad game, just a very, mediocre one. You spend a lot of time in Starfield walking through barren landscapes, pressing F and E to fast travel, watching the game struggle and freeze constantly, and talking to the amazingly animated NPCs. Or their backsides.
I think you can dismiss any
Sarah,
stories about us no
you know I'm over here, right?
I
What do you-
don't believe in smearing our name everywhere we can.
Okay.
Explain.
That's fine too.
A few things that I did enjoy about Starfield was the shipbuilding, the space combat, and a lot of the environments. The shipbuilder was surprisingly deep and complex. If you want, you can even build a ship from scratch if you so desired. The rest of your time is spent staring at and looting objects. So the fact that all the objects in every room are so detailed and filled with wonderful polygons makes every room look that much more lived in. Each unique zone has a very nice and stylistic and scenic look, rather than goo big 4K ultra realistic graphics. Wow, this game looks amazing, guys.
Starfield.
Color me surprised that they're able to beat this level of fidelity out of this 20-year-old game engine. Props to you, Todd. You handsome devil.
Starfield.
Flying through space has some interesting features that I quite like. Being able to distribute how much power you want to go in each individual systems on your ship is pretty damn cool. Going whole hog on engines just to get max speed, or maxing out firepower so you can really fuck some shit up. Though the ninjutsu level gymnastics you have to go through just to adjust these by like holding Alt and then WASD and trying to fucking finagle your fingers around is kind of weird and clunky. Look, okay, I could have changed it, but come on, Todd. I'm lazy. I'm a gamer. I just want it to be easy right off the bat. The combat largely plays like Fallout, but without VATS. I guess it feels better, although I feel like I'm being gaslit because I haven't played Fallout 4 in a long time. So, you know what? I'm gonna check myself. I'm actually gonna install. I'm gonna install the game and I'm gonna actually check because I don't believe it feels actually better. Okay, it's not 100%, but it's more like 80% of the same. Enemies are basically the same though. They run and hide before cover randomly or just AFK and get shot in the fucking face. You know, it's actually kind of funny. Ideally, I wanted to chat it up and go full unarmed, chasing losers around on very hard. But the unarmed was so ass, I eventually gave up and turned to the dark side of guns. But I guess I shouldn't have expected that from, evolved Fallout combat. It's smoother and more responsive, yet still nearly identical. When you're not shooting the spacemen in the head, it's time to explore. The odd problem of this is that the exploration that was marketed is actually the worst dog shit part. The exploring you're supposed to do, which is supposed to be fun, ends up being so bad and boring. It's spent walking around these planets that look exactly the same almost. Out of the 1,000 planets, a lot of them, 20 to 30, are probably the only ones worth exploring if we're gonna be nice about it. Mushy, blended together like a nice bowl of oatmeal. You can't manually walk to settlements and main cities because every single waypoint on a planet is kind of surrounded in an empty field of rocks and maybe a few aliens peppered around, you know, here and there. And if you are lucky, maybe on the way of your 900-meter trek from this waypoint to the next, you'll maybe find some diamonds while you're on your way. The coolest sections of exploration were the various space stations you can find, specifically the abandoned bandit bases. The structures are large and well designed, yet exploring actual space is nowhere near as good as it should have been. Before playing, I actually didn't know you can manually fly to a planet. Now, some people will be like, oh, blah, 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 shut up. And the other people will be like, well, No Man's Sky is 7 years old. You know, why is this feature not here? Of course, I'm not mentioning it because it's a gotcha statement that will completely obliterate the Xbox community, by the way. You guys, already did that when you decided to buy a Xbox. Sucks, man. What I think I've realized about video game criticism is that a lot of gamers are stupid. And I think I'm included in that. A yummy chocolate-covered example is the reaction that Shilab's review of Final Fantasy XVI had. He clearly states in this video that it is okay for him to dislike something that you like and vice versa. But here's one of the reactions. I actually can't believe that he played the same game as me. Holy fuck, I know the game has some flaws, but holy fuck.
Why are you angry?
Criticizing Starfield for not having a nice feature from a 7-year-old game is valid even if you vehemently disagreed with it. We only mentioned it because it's a game made by this company, by the way, with this publisher, and it just would have been a nice feature to have. But I'm sure you have 20 more loading screens to go through, so you know, you could watch the rest of this video and maybe it'll be done by then. Compared to worlds like Mass Effect or Dead Space, this one looks grand and massive, and some parts can look pretty good, but it just isn't dripping in that atmosphere or sense of wonder that either of those games have. Rather than exploring the world you're placed in, the player spends a lot of time exploring menus, skimming rooms for lootable objects, and just talking to these
Your help. Spacers have been extorting
NPCs, I guess, if that's what you want to call these. So you would assume that because you spend so much gameplay time speaking to these NPCs, it would actually look good and actually function properly. At least we could say it isn't a complete broken mess and doesn't have any microtransactions. Good on you guys. A +1 gamer point for all my Xbox homies out there. I'm sure there won't be a season pass or anything, you know. Now, what has to be the most egregious part of the game is the main storyline. Yikes. Oof. It's just awful. Here's some Temple Run behind me so that you don't get entirely bored and fall asleep in your seat. Games with slow starts can always eventually become great, but there's just so much walking and talking and teleporting and flying back to planets back and forth. It almost feels like MMO padding, but without the actual pad. It's more like a empty pillowcase. So much so that they're constantly fighting for your attention. Just hearing some guy talk like random gibberish as you walk past him is enough to give you a side quest? Like, huh? I didn't even hear what he said. Why do I have a quest now? Or the fact that there's many of these walking sections that just take so long to traverse through. Like, you could make the argument that this game is full of content, but the content is this, and it's not good. it's not good at all. Minus, a few interesting quest lines. The majority of characters are unlawfully forgettable. The only ones I can actually remember are the companions from Constellation, and this guy. Actually can't even remember. Editor me, can you please put whoever I'm talking about? One of my favorites being Andrasia, the Russian muscular tough lady. Everyone else is an uninteresting animated walking thumb with painfully stale dialogue. One of the more intriguing parts of the game was when I got caught by some cops, and instead of jailing me, they offered me an alternative. I helped them get rid of the pirate faction, and I get to go scot-free. This was a really sick-ass quest because the trigger to this quest line is actually directly linked to gameplay rather than talking to another one of their zombies and I just get a quest line. Also, can I just make a little bit of a hot take, spit some flames for the boys? There really should have been some hot alien humanoids or something. This sci-fi world is so boring because it's just humans in space. Where's my Starfield version of Tali, for example? Or cool ass male humanoids with fucking 8-packs or something. Just any living beings at all other than humans. If we immerse in these worlds because humans are fucking boring, I'm sorry to say.
But oh my god, bro, it's the fucking adoring feeling.
Don't you love Oblivion? Honestly, Oblivion's probably better than this game, just saying. Even as a joke, I won't even humor a world where I could compare this RPG to the likes of Baldur's Gate 3 or even Cyberpunk 2077. Baldur's Gate 3 was a extremely rich and beautifully crafted world filled with both grand and minuscule wonders that keep you engaged for dozens of hours. So obviously, they definitely are two different types of RPGs. Cyberpunk was a fat, overpromised, steaming pile of dog shit on release. But at least there was some backbone there. The world felt alive and expansive when it wasn't crashing. The characters and the environments were just so strong and stylized and just dripping with flair that it easily immersed you into its world. Bethesda just doesn't seem to accomplish that here. You are just another space guy, robbing, stealing, and shooting like everyone else can. The day Starfield becomes amazing is in about 2 or so years when the modding community gets their meaty hands around it and make it a game that Bethesda actually promised it would be. While this is probably not the majority of responses to criticism, some of them will say that the game gets better after the 12-hour mark, which I did play up to the 12-hour mark. I even played more than that to see if it just magically got better, but we all know, even in Todd's little magnificently crafted space-time continuum, that just never would have happened. It wasn't bad, mind you, it's definitely not good. We shouldn't judge anyone for how they want to spend their free time, really. Even one of my favorite games of all time, Persona 5, has a pretty sloggy 10-hour tutorial, but anybody who likes JRPGs, I would still recommend it to them because it's still one of my favorite games of all time. But, obviously everyone should be bored after 12 hours before getting entertained, right? What are you, baby? Are you a little freaking baby? You can't spend 12 hours? Truthfully, it honestly doesn't matter who does or doesn't enjoy this game. It doesn't really affect you as a player. I just think it's a very middling experience regardless. If you missed the Fallout formula, then you'll probably love Starfield. But if you wanted even a tiny percent of innovation out of Bethesda, you're just not gonna get it here. I probably am not going to complete Starfield, at least not right now. I'll let you guys do that. I guess the Bethesda formula just is still charming to a lot of people, but it's just not cutting it for me anymore. The modding community is the only reason Bethesda games last as long as they do, which really needs to stop being the excuse for them to strip their games of all the backbone they have, for modders to come in and make it better afterward. Starfield is just not quite what I expected or even wanted. And that's okay. But, oh well, I'm just a seasoned and battered Nintendo fan, and that is Fallout 4, Starfield, Game of the Year edition. Thank you guys for watching. I'm probably gonna go and play an actually good RPG. Take care, everyone, and subscribe for more.